I sleep with men for money, but I won't necessarily call myself a prostitute. Prostitution is when you stand by the roadside of the street and cars stop for you to enter. I don't do that. I've been in the business for 2 years plus, and I have a client base, and they are all high profile men. My auntie was the one who introduced me to the business at first. I thought this was the last thing I would ever do, but this turned out to be one of the best jobs I've ever done in my life. I come from a very poor family, and no one ever succeeds in my family. Hey guys, welcome to another fun story time on this channel. If you're new here, my name is Benari Bello. Do well to join the family. Click on the subscribe button and on the notification bell so you get notified whenever we post a new video. Without further ado, let's continue. It all started when I moved in with my auntie 3 years ago. I was not doing anything better back at home with my life, and she asked me to come so that she could find a job for me. When I joined her, she was doing very well for herself. She drove a nice car and was staying in a nice apartment in Lagos. She was also building a huge house in my hometown. She's the first person in the family to ever do that. When I moved in with her, she found a job at KFC for me to do. I did this job for about 5 months, and I was not getting the money I wanted. I wanted more. I wanted to be just like my auntie. At that point, I had realized that she entertained different men in the house, but I didn't think much of it. She had a serious guy I knew, and most of the time he was in the house with us. When this man comes sometimes, he would just leave and come back later that night or the next day, or sometimes he would enter into the room with her and the men. I didn't understand their relationship. One day, I peeped into the room and saw my auntie, a man, and another man who had just entered the house doing the do on the bed together. All three of them. I remember trying to ask my auntie about their relationship with the men once, and she told me to mind my damn business. My auntie had friends who would also come around, and they would also be joined by different men. On days like that, I would be asked to leave the house altogether. Sometimes when they come in the night, my auntie will ask me to lock my door and not come downstairs. People will come and there'll be a lot of noise as if a party was going on downstairs. One day, I disobeyed her and crept downstairs to see what was going on. And that was when I saw naked people walking around, and some of them were doing the do. I immediately ran back upstairs. At that time, I didn't understand what was going on, and I just thought my auntie was into freaky things. I was 22 years old at that time, but my auntie treated me like a child. I cleaned the house after work and I cooked our meals. She gave me some of her old clothes and threw a wig or two my way once in a while. I was happy living with her, but the truth was I wanted more. I wanted my own car and my own apartment. The money I was getting from my job was not enough, even though I was trying to save most of the money. It was still not enough to get me the kind of things I wanted soon. I started hearing rumors around my area about my auntie and her friends. I guess because different men came all the time and people were calling them a shower. I was beginning to think that too. My auntie didn't have any job. Different men came to see her all the time, and she goes to her room with them. Sometimes she goes out at night and doesn't come back, and she also throws parties like the one I witnessed. I knew she was definitely sleeping with men for money. I wanted to know more about her job, but anytime I brought up the topic, she would get angry and either tell me to mind my own business or change the topic. I wanted to join her. I wanted to make money. I was sexually active at the time, and so I was ready to do anything. I wanted to have the kind of life she had. I was determined to succeed. One day, I got the perfect opportunity to prove myself. When two men came to see my auntie and she was not around, she had told me to tell them to wait for her in the room. But I had other plans. I was going to service this man, and then when my auntie comes, she would not have any option than to include me in whatever she was doing. I went into the room and told the man I would be the one attending to them. They started undressing immediately, and I also started taking off my clothes. After we were all naked, they asked me to lie down on the bed and they put on protection, and they both joined me on the bed. Both of them slept with me at the same time. It was a bit painful and uncomfortable, but I was able to get through it. By the time my auntie got back, it was too late. She was angry, but the harm had already been done. I told her I wanted to join the line of work, and this time around, she just exhaled and told me everything I needed to do. And that was how everything began. Now, I met this man. Let's call him Dave. I met him about 6 months ago. He was one of my best customers. Our relationship was strictly business. He would pay for my time, and I would just keep him company and sleep with him. I was never emotionally invested in him. It was all very transactional and clear cut. However, a month ago, things took a turn. Dave's wife called me, reached out to me on the phone, and let's just say her message was not friendly. She rained insults on me, calling me all sorts of vile names, saying I was a dirty whore and that I should be ashamed of myself for being with her husband. I tried to explain to her that our relationship was nothing and that it was just business and that she should talk to her husband, not me. But she was not having it. She was not having any of it. She didn't want to hear me out. She was only concerned about the hurt and chaos in her marriage. After a long rant filled with insults, I tried to maintain my composure, but it became clear that she wasn't interested in a reasonable conversation. So after the back and forth, I ended up blocking her number. I thought that would be the end of it, but that evening, she called me again, raining insults on me. She called me filthy and said that her husband would never stoop low enough to be with someone like me. And so, if I think her husband would leave her to marry me, I was lying. I was still trying to explain to this woman that I was not interested in her husband and that if she wanted her husband to leave me, she should talk to him. But she just kept insulting me and I ended up blocking her number again. During this time, I noticed that Dave started seeing me more frequently. Instead of our usual once in a week, he visited me about 6 times just this past month. Honestly, I don't love him. This is just business to me, and I have no intention of stopping. Our arrangement was mutually beneficial for both of us. Just a few days ago, I got another call from his wife. This time around, she was surprisingly calm. I was shocked to hear her begging me to stop seeing her husband. She said she was willing to talk, but I told her no. I felt no obligation to consider her feelings. Nobody will call me a dirty whore and expect me to do them a favor. I was just doing my job. And if she had spoken to me nicely when we first spoke, I might have considered stopping. But now it was far too late for me to do that. I told her that if her husband decided to stop coming to me, then fine. But I will continue taking the money and servicing him as long as he wanted me to see him. I think it is just business. She should focus on fixing their marriage rather than attacking me. I want to know if I'm the asshole. Was I too harsh on her? I totally understand the part where it is none of your business, it's not your marriage, you're just doing your business, so she should get out and all that. I understand that you feel that way because it's not your vows, it's not your home, it's not your marriage and all that. But I honestly feel like when it comes to things like this, I think you should step away from a woman like that. She's desperate, she's called you, she has shouted, now she's calm, she has calmed down, she's really desperate, right? Quite all right, she's channeling her energy on the wrong person because once you leave Dave, he's definitely going to move on to the next woman that's ready to have an affair with him, regardless of if he's married or not. He doesn't care about his marriage vows to the woman, right? But you in this scenario, you have other clients, you have other people. I think you should just focus on other people. Honestly, it's quite dangerous. And one thing about the scorn of a woman is that it is very harsh. It's you don't know what this woman could do to you, and then you just be in a situation that you could have avoided. I totally understand that you're under no obligation to save these people's marriage. Honestly, you're doing your business. He comes to you, you do your thing, he gives you money and all that. I totally get that. But save yourself. Save yourself from this woman because she can do something crazy. Women like this that call the other woman, they are not okay people. Any woman that pick up your phone and call another woman to leave her husband, the person is not mentally stable. So she could do anything to you. That's just my candid advice, honestly. You leaving is not going to fix their marriage. He's gonna move on to the next person. But just for you not to be in that zone where somebody will threaten your life or probably try to harm you, just step aside. You have other clients and you'd definitely still fight on that client. So yeah, that's just all I have to say. Back to you guys. What advice do you have for this woman? What do you think she should do? Thank you guys once more for watching another story time. More story times to come, so do subscribe and I'll see you in the next video. Also, just check the playlist. You're going to see other videos that you could binge watch and enjoy. Bye. See you in the next video. Mwah. I love you guys.